Hello, this is Ron with Rising Sun Properties. Today we're in Kobe looking at a few different Akiyas. Here is one of them, 4.8 million yen, 33,000 USD. It's a two-story 40K built in 1973, so a bit older, 76 square meters, and about a 14-minute walk from the closest train station. This is in a kind of a quiet, tucked-back neighborhood. There's the main road and a parking spot back behind there, and you see this little walkway. This house across the walk path is a real true Akiya. Here's some cracking, but it's not on the foundation. However, looking around, it is an older home. It is quite cheap, and it did have some cracking going on. Partially renovated on the first floor. Second floor had a little bit older feel. Looks like it was not renovated. But for the price, this is what you can expect. It's not going to be a perfect home. And so you'll just have to be comfortable with that if this is within your budget. But overall, for the price, I think it's a decent home. The doorways were quite tall, clearing my head. So I'd say they're probably about 6'3", 6'4", like 185, 187 centimeters. Here's the kitchen. See that place for the aircon there. Floor seemed okay. Didn't seem super soft. Here's a kitchen you can see has been upgraded to the system kitchen with the burners, bigger sink, dishwasher. Water was not on. But I think the kitchen the way it is fine and ready to use. Fish stove there is cleaned out and looks to be in pretty good condition. Walk around the floors. Maybe it's a little bit soft. Yeah, right there. That's right. It's a little bit soft. Pull these out and take a look underneath. Again, for the home and the price, this is kind of what you can expect. Take a look and you see not really what you want to see. Excuse me. It's I don't know if that's water, moisture. It's not solid concrete. You see them on the blocks there. This kind of stuff can be retrofitted. It will take some money, of course. Some people want to buy cheap and then renovate later. So if that's kind of the situation you're in, maybe a home like this would be a good buy for you. Here's a look out the kitchen down to the, I guess would be the living room. They've got these sliders that come across to separate. There's 3 of them there that go all the way across to kind of close them out. That's good for the winter and summer months, so you can cool one room and save some energy. So there's a look at it when it's closed. Can't see the doorways are quite a bit higher in this home. They are here too, and I think they are in the entirety of the home. So that's nice. So yeah, downstairs doorways were a little bit higher. Some closet space underneath the stairs, which is quite common. Here's this room. That's the rental car I had. So it's not technically a parking spot, I don't think, but you can definitely park there. It's completely fine. There was an older gentleman who was being assisted by a helper to walk into a home across the walkway there, and he's like, oh, this is an Akiya, and the one across the street's an Akiya, and it's so sad. So it's poor old guy, he must have been 90 or older, and just kind of seeing, people not there anymore that used to be. So this is kind of the state of Japan, where it's a declining population and these homes are popping up and are plentiful and affordable. Kobe is a great area, as I've said many times. So it's a great city to consider. Here's that parking spot. You can see I could tuck it in a little bit more to get off the road. I think you'd be completely fine. There's an example of what you see, that cracking on the walls. You know, you see it on all the homes pretty much that are 30 plus years older. I say them all the time in these videos, but Kobe is a great place. You don't have the tourism like Kyoto. You're not in the big city like Osaka. You got the Shinkansen, the Shin-Kobe, domestic and international airports, and you can get to Kyoto and Osaka pretty quickly from Kobe. So one toilet. This is the toilet here. And here is the shower. See a place right there for your washing machine. So this looks fine the way it is. It's a kind of an older style plug-in, kind of shows the age of the home that has not been updated. That is a dryer right there. You'd hang a bar across, although I didn't see a place to actually hang a bar, but hot air pumps out of there and it helps to dry your clothes. Bathtub was quite large. You got that baby pink color. So first floor is pretty nice. Again, for this price, I don't think there's much to complain about. Again, for the price, you just have to be comfortable with having a home that's not going to be 100% structurally sound. And I'm sure the inspection would, be a bit on the negative side for the structure of this home, but that's just the way it is. Here's a look across the street. That is a true Akiya. It looked pretty rough inside. It's kind of an eyesore, to be honest, looking across the street. Probably won't be anybody moving in there anytime soon. If you want, we could probably look and see if that's available to purchase as well. Have a dual home right across the street from each other. Would probably be cheaper than this one here. So up to the second floor. Doorways were a little bit shorter on the second floor, just because it's the older style, has not been upgraded. There's an attic spot right there. Wood floors here, tatami in the other room with a small balcony. See a place for your aircon there. Most of these homes will not come with air cons. You'll have to buy them. Even if they are there, they're going to be older. They'll need to be replaced anyway, so it's just best if they're removed. Sometimes you get lucky and people leave them in there and they're 2 or 3 years old. Here's a look at the door frames here. It's the Japanese style, but this one has been renovated, it looks like, so that's a bit taller. See this very dated window with the stars. See this a lot in older homes from the 70s. Look on the balcony. You see this pretty big crack right there. And if I remember correctly, it felt like there was a little bit of a slant, a slope down, and that might be just to help drain the water off. I'm not really sure, but you see cracking along there. There's some more. So, these are the things you need to think about and worry about when buying. If you want to get away from these kind of issues, you definitely need to raise your budget. If you get something, 10 million might be doable. But if you can get 12, even closer to the 15 million, and I know that's out of budget for some buyers, but that's when you can get into some better properties and you'll have less to worry about in the future. Here's the third room upstairs. They had this kind of white brick foam on the wall. looked like a DIY job. Big closet. Looks like that has been upgraded. 3-tone wooden floor. All the doors were shutting upstairs, but I would guess, I couldn't feel a slope, but I'd guess there is some kind of sloping going on because most of these older homes do have it. But the inspector can tell if it's settled or if it's still moving. If it's settled, that's a good sign. It means it's just, not moving anymore. If it's not, then there's chances that it's still, kind of unstable and would be more of a concern. Look out the front, the back of the house, but where the main road is. Another place for aircon. Didn't see much of water damage, so that's a good sign. And here is how you get up into the attic. This is very common in Japan. To be honest, I've been out of America for so long, I can't remember what the attics are like in America, if they have the same kind of style. But most of them will fold down. There's always a little rod to unhook it and get the ladder down. There was no light up here, but turned on my flashlight on my phone and was looking around for any kind of water damage I can see. I didn't see much with my own eyes, so that's a good sign. See that really old piece of wood there? It's kind of cool, but not seeing it because it's up in the attic. But not seeing water damage, so that's great. There was no fan that I remember seeing, but there are windows just for a little bit of ventilation. Just looking around, seeing if I can find any issues. The inspector, when they come, they will crawl around up there and look at all corners. So there's plenty of room up here for them to do that. So plenty of extra storage. That just folds back up out of the way. This did have a shutter here on the first floor, one of the sliders, so that's definitely not from when the home was built. Just simply pull on that cord, opens and closes quite easily. And a bit of a look. This is actually the neighboring house, and as you can see, that's what a lot of those homes will look like. Those major cracking going on. That house would probably be 2-3 million yen if it's on up for sale. Taking a look around the foundation, see what I can find. Wall has a covering on it, so kind of hard to see if there's any cracking going on. You can see the shutters up there that would slide across and close. They were open when I came, so I just left them open. Outside water spigot. And not sure what's going on there. They were putting in some piping, so might have damaged it and tried to fix it. So yeah, to get to this house, you just park and walk through this area right here. You can walk around, but it's not necessary. The older gentleman who was coming home walked straight through there. So there's a home, and for the price, I think it's not a bad home to consider. If you want something a little better, just raise your budget. But we sell plenty of homes like this. Reach out anytime with any questions. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time.